Welcome to Tamer Bowling Video Ball Reviews. If you like what we do, please support us by joining our Patreon page. I want to thank Limerick Bowl for their support. If you're in the area, don't forget to visit Limerick Bowl in Limerick, Pennsylvania. A big thank you to Jeff Miller and Ron Hoppy. Don't forget to check out Haley's Pro Shop in Burlington, Washington for world-class drilling and coaching. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're looking at the Motiv Ripcord Flight. First impressions, baby blue looks cute. It works great in a defined window. For value, I'll give the Ripcord Flight a B+. It seems versatile enough to give several bowler types a look, albeit within a prescribed window of attack. When I first started testing and evaluating, I had to think hard on what I'm seeing. In the end, it's really crystal clear. It's clear what it is and what it does. First, what it is. It's a venom shock through the first half of the lane and a chronic paranoia the back half. That feeds into what it does. It has a solid, smooth, strong cover, which means it feels like it digs in. It's a typical control cover from Motiv that any fan will be familiar with. Similar in that regard to the Venom Shock, Rogue Assassin, Jackal, Ghost, etc. The transition or back end is smooth but clear. If you go into the friction early, it'll stand up quickly. You can read how much oil there is or lack thereof with how the ball transitions. Sounds obvious, but this ball does it in a particularly readable way. The back end will be whatever's left, if you know what I mean. So if it stands up from the friction, it'll look sharp, rolling heavy end over end. If you use a bit more oil, it'll look decidedly smooth. Yes, this is a control piece for sure. So what does that make, this ball for me? Basically, in a slot, the ball looks great. Played more directly, it's smooth but defined enough to drive through the pins well. In that space, it gives you some forgiveness. Once I have to open up the angles a touch, and I mean ever so slight, it hates me. It just starts to hit soft. And this is where the weaker core and earlier cover read is exposed along with my rev rate. Moving on to our higher rev rate, Shaun had a very good look with the Ripcord Flight. He actually winds up playing a similar line as me. Part of that is attributable to the house shot design where you have to play to the friction. Some house shots are more walled up than others. This pattern played more typically walled in this test session, and the takeaway is that the ball goes through the pins very well for him. He can move into just past the third arrow, slow it down, and still get good ball reaction. However, the ball cliffs hard as the pattern does, so when it sees the higher volume in the middle, it has no chance. The difference is that the higher rev rate gave him more room, so he didn't cliff as quickly as I did. Bryan ultimately had a similar look to me. The Ripcord Flight is consistent from bowler to bowler, and what you see is what you get. Bryan has a very good look from, say, 7, 8, or 9. Just like me, use the friction and it booms harder. Edge in and it's as smooth as you like. When he gets to 10, the cliff is again very visible. The point is that the ball works well within its zone. And while I would love to say that this is all caused by the house pattern cliff, it most definitely is not, as the sport shot will show. Here's a quick comparison to the Rogue Assassin. 7-4 strikes nicely with the Flight, while the Assassin goes sideways, almost Brooklyn. He's got to be going 10-6 to strike, which is basically about a 4-board adjustment with his feet on the Rogue Assassin, moving left. For the sport shot, we tested on the 2019 Team USBC Open Championships pattern. Being 38 foot and pretty flat, the pattern definitely has hook, but of course the pocket is tricky to control. On my side, I had about 3 games on the pattern, so it's relatively fresh, but I can tell that the ball would be a bit better about 2 games ago. The aggressive surface helps give the mid lane control. The ball gave me 7, 8, 9 at the break point, but because there's already a line burned in through the mids, I had to be a little deeper than this ball wants to be for a consistent ball reaction. I will say it did surprise me a bit, as it was able to generate a bit more angle than I thought, but not much more. For Bryan, he had to play to 10 at the break point. Missing in was tough, but actually a bit more forgiving than misses out. The big issue here is that if he hit 11, he was high. When he hit 9, there was no chance to strike. That's a very fine line. This lane did have some play on it, so I think he would be more direct or further right if it was totally fresh. And once he has it at 11 through the fronts, he has to be pinpoint accurate to strike. It's a great control piece, but would be a little more niche for Bryan given it's a weaker ball overall. With the Rogue Assassin, you can see a big difference in ball motion. Now he can go 11 to 8 and it peels and knocks all 10 back. Final thoughts. Play the Ripcord Flight more direct and you are rewarded with a benchmark type look with good forgiveness and carry. If you have to start opening up your angles, put it away unless you have EJ tack at hand. The more hand you have, the more you'll be able to open it up. This ball in my mind is in the specialty benchmark area with balls like the IQ Tour, Web Tour, and even the Venom Shock. They definitely have a place. I think this ball scores pretty well with B+ on sport and B on house. If you don't want to miss any of our reviews, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button.